Can you just sum up the sort of the feeling in the team after 2 wins on the board to start the tournament? I mean, obviously it's the start that everyone would dream of at a World Cup.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I think bringing this group together, there's a really good feeling coming into the tournament, but without, playing too much cricket together. So I thought the win against South Africa, it was great to get the win. We probably didn't, we just snuck over the line there, but felt like that got us into the tournament. And then, I thought last night was a fairly complete performance. The way, everyone played their part. Bowlers did well, and then the batters closed it out quite emphatically. So, really good feeling. Obviously, a huge game tomorrow.
Can I just also ask as well, specifically about the role Adam Zampa plays for you, how crucial he is to the balance of the bowling attack and how much confidence it gives you guys that tend to bowl a bit earlier, that you have Adam coming up behind and 2 for 12 last night, that sort of performance?
Yeah, Adam's huge for us. I think he's, one of the premier spin bowlers in the world in white ball cricket. He's been fantastic for us for a long time. I think just knowing in this format, you can, batters can get away. There can be a big start in the first 6 overs, but having especially a wrist spinner is just a hugely beneficial for us. He can take those couple of wickets, keep it tight, and then, we can attack from the other end. So, he showed how good he is, last night.
Thanks, Pat.
Dean Wilson.
Hi, Pat. This looks like it could be the first of 7 meetings between England and Australia this winter. Is there an extra bit of motivation, incentive, I should say, when you meet England, just bearing in mind the history, the rivalry? We saw that with India, Pakistan early in the tournament, how much that meant to those 2 teams. Is it something similar for you guys ahead of a big winter?
Most of the teams quite different to the test side for England, but it's always huge. We play England a lot. I think the style of play is quite similar. We like to take the game on. They've been, probably just about the form team the last few years, in white ball cricket. So, huge game. We know these guys really well. We know it's such a big game in the context of making those semi-finals. And it's always enjoy coming up against England. And as you said, there are a few players that will be coming out this summer from this side, so it'd be great to get one on the board against them early.
As you say, they're the form team in white ball cricket. The last time you played them in a World Cup match was the semi-final in 2019, which didn't go too well for you guys. There's obviously going to be quite a few players involved in both those games. Do you think there'll be any scars left over from that experience for you lot?
No, I don't think so. It was a little while ago, different format. As I said, we play them a lot, so even since then, we've played a lot of games against them.
Thanks.
Russell Gould.
G'day, Pat. Just following on from Dean, then they are a bit of a yardstick in white ball cricket, though. I mean, do you watch them and see things that you guys can do as well? They're the highest scoring team in world cricket, in white ball cricket. And I think JL said before the Sri Lanka game, runs are the premium for you guys ahead of bowling. Do you look at them and see that's where we need to be in terms of T20 cricket, especially?
No, I think definitely in 50 over cricket. I think T20 there's a lot of different teams that do it well. I think I'll probably look at more of the style of the teams rather than, I guess, how teams might structure up. And I think what you see amongst all the great teams, all the better teams, is they all take the game on. They bat deep. They, even if they lose a couple of wickets, they keep trying to fire. And then, they just have clever bowlers, some spinners, some quicks that all play their role and do it really well in different phases. So, my phone's gone off. I'd say, looking at those better teams such as England, that's the style that they kind of implement that's worked for them, and other teams try to copy.
And just secondly on yourself, I mean, you come out of quarantine only about 10 days ago after 5 months of not playing cricket. Obviously, you would have been training hard, but to jump straight into those warm-up games and then play 2 games, are you surprised that you've been able to hit the ground running and there's that's sort of giving you confidence, given it is sort of there's a lot of cricket coming up?
Yeah, I guess, maybe a little bit of it's relief, but just, this has been on my calendar for the last 4 or 5 months as kind of the main goal. So I've spent a lot of time working on T20 bowling, and we had a similar kind of scenario last year where we had a big break and then we flew over to England for those T20s in one day. So this time around, I felt like I kind of knew what I had to do before I got over here. But yeah, been really happy with how I've been bowling, and it's all come together so far.
Thanks, Pat.
Mel Farrell, if there's any more questions after Mel, please raise your hand. Mel.
Thanks, Cole. Hey, Pat. Just wondering, obviously you guys had built so much towards the World Cup in Australia last year, and the conditions and the balance of the team that would be required for that. How do you think that you're traveling now? Is that, you in that team sort of a year ago, does it feel like quite a different team and a different approach that you're taking for this World Cup?
I don't know really, Mel. I think this is our 15. This squad of 15 is our best equipped wherever we play in the world at this moment. I'll come 12 months time when the World Cup's in Australia. I'm sure the majority of this squad will be there. Maybe the style we play. Obviously things like in Australia, you have big grounds. There's a bit more bounce for the quick bowlers. So perhaps the players would adapt how they play slightly differently. But in terms of personnel and I guess how we structure the side, it's hard to say if it would be that different.
And also just the fifth bowler role, I guess, was shared between Marcus and Maxi last night, and they kind of went after both of them. Do you see the side as still sticking with the way you've gone with the specialist quicks and having that fifth bowler role shared? And do you think other teams might look to target that sort of fifth bowler sharing role?
I think it's worked really well for us against South Africa. A night like last night, a couple of the bigger overs, but I think the flexibility that structure gives us is just huge. Maxi bowling one in the first 6, that now means Starkey can have an extra over through the middle. You saw he took a couple of overs in those couple of wickets in the middle overs. That's because we were able to have someone like Maxi bowl early. Stoyne, still hasn't bowled a lot in the last little bit, but we know how much of an impact he can be with the ball, let alone having the option to now have that extra batter. And I think we're really well suited. We're covering a lot of areas with that fifth bowler. We've got Maxwell, Stoinis, Marsh, all who can contribute those 4 overs. So it might change, but at the moment I feel like whichever way we go, we've got plenty of options.
Thanks, Pat. Awesome.
John Etheridge, and if there's any questions after John, please raise your hand. John?
Hi, morning. David Warner's been a bit short of runs until last night. How important is it to your team to have Warner scoring runs and playing well at the top of the order there?
Davey's a huge player for us. For the last decade, he's been huge for Australian cricket. I think as well, opening the batting, that's where you can really set up the innings. You saw yesterday, the way him and Finch took the game on. It makes those kind of 150 targets either tough to get, or you feel like you're well ahead of the run rate straight away. So he was fantastic. He's also another player that he's a big game player. He likes taking on the big teams. I'm sure tomorrow you'll see him puffing his chest out, and he's someone that our whole team absolutely loves playing alongside. We all go with him and back him up, and fantastic to see him backing runs. He's such a good player. We always knew that they weren't far away.
Not a guy who gets down during a lean patch.
I think, like all the great players, there's huge expectations that he puts on himself. So he's been around enough to know that runs aren't too far away. It's frustrating, but every player that's been around for a decade kind of goes through those patches. So he's been fantastic around the group. The last couple of weeks he's been great. So he's his own harshest critic. It was great to see him get some runs yesterday.
Just do you expect him to open the batting in the Ashes?
Yeah.
You might say that. Cheers, thank you.
Shane Hope.
Just following on from that, Pat, Aaron Finch, nice to see him get some runs at the top as well.
Yeah, spot on. Another one who's done really well to come back from injury, and hasn't played a heap of cricket over the last few months. And I thought he looked fantastic. Yesterday again, taking the game on. A couple of his trademark big hits down the ground. Just wonderful opening partnership, those two. Showing how good they are, and they're going to be huge for us.
And just on England, is it possible to strike any sort of psychological blow ahead of the summer out here by beating them in this game coming up?
Perhaps, but as I said, I think there's only a couple of players that will, the majority of the side are mainly white ball players. So, maybe one or two players, but different format. It's, I wouldn't read into it too much.
Laura Spurway.
Hi, Pat. Congrats on the win. I was a couple of minutes late, so sorry if someone's already asked this, but I just wondered how you're going being away from home. I know you've got a brand newbie, a really little one back at home, and families haven't been able to travel like you might have been accustomed to in the past. So how are you dealing with all of that? Yeah,
thanks for that, Laura. Not too bad, thanks. It's Becky's been great back home. Missing being home and missing those first couple of weeks, but hopefully basically as soon as we fly back into Australia, we'll be able to see them in quarantine. But it's been tough. FaceTime's been great. Spent a lot of time on FaceTime. It's a World Cup, so that makes it all a little bit easier. I wouldn't, although I'd love to be there, pretty lucky to be here in a World Cup.
Andrew Wu.
Yeah, g'day, Pat. Well done on last night. On the form of your two openers, Aaron and Dave Warner, do you feel like now that they've got a few runs under their belt that you've got one of the big pieces of the puzzle back to have success in this tournament?
I think you saw yesterday, how you can make a reasonable chase look pretty good if you get off to a good start. And I think, those first 6 overs, the power play is huge. Having confident batters in form that can really take that apart is just huge. Sets up the whole bat inning. So, I think another great thing about these first 2 games is it feels like everyone in the 11s played a huge role. Just about everyone's fired and, is riding high in confidence. So, it feels like it's all coming together.
Do you see England as the benchmark? I know they're the world champions in 50 over cricket, but do you see them as the team to beat in this tournament?
I'd say they're probably one of 4 or 5 teams, to be honest. It's a format where you feel like anyone on their day, I guess the top 3, 4, 5 teams could beat anyone else. So they're right up there. They're right in that top tier.
Cheers.